What is up, GOAT World? Arts and Crofts here, continuing to bring you some in-depth coverage of the Season 6 GOAT Format War League playoffs. If you've been following along on this series so far, you will know that 3 out of the 4 semifinalists have already been confirmed here. We've seen a while ago Bones Generation get a 6-0 sweep against 7-seed Nemesis. Defending champions Rico Act knocked out by the 3-seed Bomb Squad. In my last video, we saw Damage Step complete their upset over 4-seed Masters of Oz. And the final remaining matchup here in the round of 8 is the tournament favorites, 1-seed Bugcatchers against wildcard qualifiers B.A.D.S. We saw Bugcatchers get off to a very, very strong Wave 1 here, winning 5 out of the 6 Wave 1 matches. Only confuserei here for B.A.D.S, their Chaos Control sort of one trick, was able to take a scalp here, top-ranked player on Bugcatchers Betchy, was defeated, so I guess if you're confuserei, the hardest part of this, reverse sweep is done, but you still have to go through this gauntlet of 5 very, very talented players. So now Bugcatchers does have the ability to choose which of these 5 players is going to go up against confuserei every single week, and they have chosen their ringer, undefeated Stein Gate aficionado MattUber here, 21st rank in the MVP standings after the regular season. The one player on the team that did not load up Chaos Turbo in this playoff round. So if confuserei were to defeat MattUber, they'll have to go through a gauntlet of 4 straight Chaos Turbo players. But Bugcatchers here deciding to roll out a little bit of the wildcard matchup, that's Stein Gate list. If you recall, a few videos ago, we did do a feature match here for the Wave 1 of this matchup, where we saw MattUber on their patented Stein Gate list take down top-ranked B.A.D.S player Cape Tanicus. So before we hop into the match, let's do a little bit of a deck tech for both of these players. So this is what the scouting for MattUber has. As I mentioned, this is a Stein Gate list, so it's typical sort of reasoning gate, but with a little bit more, if you can believe it, OTK sort of focus, right? It's kind of funny because reasoning gate generally is a very OTK combo-centric deck, but you get an even extra oomph here, right? With the Cyberstein, the Megamorphs, the Visor Shock to get you an additional board wipe to clear the way for your big attacks, things like that. So this is a very, very all-in glass cannon sort of build. But as I mentioned, MattUber undefeated so far this season on this deck. So very, very solid. They're also playing double main deck Minecon. Not sure if that was a specific tech choice for this. Can be really nice just to move a monster out of the way so you can attack for more damage, which is probably what it's in here for. But I wonder if they were maybe prepping for a little bit of the chaos stuff that B.A.D.S likes to play. Out of the side, also, I wanted to point out they do run both of the jars, Morphing Jar and Cyber Jar, which seems a little bit unintuitive, right? Because it's not a very good card to hit off of Morphing Jar or Reasoning. But this is a combo deck. They do like to just have a critical mass of cards to help them go for their plays. And honestly, if you just hard draw Cyberstein, you don't really need Monster Gate or Reasoning anyway. So those are just 2 very, very powerful cards to kind of facilitate the main play of the deck. And I think they're probably brought in post side because players will probably bring their knocks out against this deck if they haven't done their prep, right? Whereas if you keep them in the main, the knocks will still be in, and they're a good target for that. So a little bit of side deck finesse here available for MattUber if they choose to go for it. Now, confuserei, as mentioned, they are the Chaos Control aficionado of B.A.D.S. Overall, relatively standard Chaos Control. However, I do want to point out that we are very heavily pre-sided for Chaos Turbo. Not only are they running double or maybe even triple main deck Trap Dust Shoot, they're running the full playset of Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, which is a very effective card against any sort of Chaos deck. We do know, and correctly predicted, right? Bugcatchers loves to play Chaos Turbo. 5 out of the 6 players here in the playoffs brought Chaos Turbo to their match. So definitely an accurate sort of read here for confuserei. It also gives the deck a nice little aggressive tilt that not a lot of Chaos Control decks generally have. Usually GOAT Control decks err a little bit more on the aggressive side, but Chaos Control is more happy to sit back. But actually, I do think the aggressiveness of this list will be kind of nice against a Reasoning Gate deck where you do need to apply pressure to them, right? Because you can't just sit back because they'll just draw a bunch of cards and combo off, and you'll be left, you'll just get blown away. So I actually kind of like this matchup for confuserei a little bit because they have a little bit more of an aggressive tilt to clock the opponent and keep them on their toes so they can't just set up for the ideal combo. They will be pressured a little bit. But without further ado, let's hop into the game. As always, I've randomized the seats of both of these players as to not spoil the outcome. Hopping right into it. So confuserei is going to win that rock, paper, scissors. Sure, they'll be very, very happy about this. They're going to lead out with a delinquent duo. So very, very good card against combo decks. Just like I mentioned before, combo decks like to draw a bunch of cards. They like their Morphing Jars. They like their Cyber Jars. What they don't like is getting their hand discarded, right? Very, very solid start here for confuserei. Gonna throw a wrench into MattUber's game plan immediately. Hitting a Ring of Destruction, not exactly a key combo piece, but can be good to help force the deck across the line if they don't have like full lethal off of a combo. Sacred Crane is going to hit the grave as well. That does get a Light Engrave for potential chaos plays. We do know MattUber is on Blackluster Soldier somewhere in the 55, so it could be setting up for that. Also get you like a premature burial target if you so choose. And confuserei is going to set a couple back row, having already gone up a card. Going to be pretty happy with that overall. Instant Trap Dust Shoot here as well. Another very good card against combo lists. Not only do you get to rip a card out of their hand, which, as we mentioned, very bad for the combo list, you also get to play with complete information. So confuserei is going to be able to see exactly how close MattUber is to comboing off. So let's see. Show both hands. However, a little twist in the story. This Trap Dust Shoot is going to whiff. MattUber actually has like probably the perfect hand to get Dust Shooted on. They have no monster in hand, and not only is there no monster, even Reasoning, you could probably count it. All 4 cards in hand replace themselves, right? So there's just going to be complete unknowns here for confuserei. This might be the worst Trap Dust Shoot resolution I have ever seen, actually. Confuserei is still in a decent spot. Well, actually, no, because the Trap Dust Shoot is just going to... the fact that this whiffed is just going to negate the advantages that I got from the delinquent duo. So suddenly, actually, probably advantage back on MattUber's side of things. And we see confuserei has another Trap Dust Shoot in hand, which is not going to be doing too much in the face of this. Heavy Storm and Snatch Seal. Heavy Storm not really great in this matchup for confuserei. Snatch Shield could be nice if they don't get OTK'd, which, as I mentioned, a little bit rarer to survive the combo turn against Stein Gate compared to regular Reasoning Gate. So I'll be interested to see if confuserei even has an opportunity at any point to go for the Snatch Seal. Either way, though, looking pretty good for MattUber. Has the Pot of Greed, has the Upstart Goblin. Going to be able to see 3 fresh new cards. Maybe fire off a Reasoning somewhere in there if they so choose. Looking pretty good for our combo duelist. So yeah, let's see. We're going to fire off the Reasoning first. Yeah, I guess you probably don't want to draw into any of the monsters that you would want to hit here, so that makes sense to me. confuserei, you probably just call 2 here, right? Unless you just have an out to Stein on the board. Gonna call 2, definitely makes sense to me. Stein is the top card of the deck, so nice call there. No milling either, so the graveyard's not going to get nice and full. Chaos is live if MattUber were to draw into it, though, with the dark hitting the grave. But nice call. Ends up working out for confuserei. Pot of Greed, of course, is going to get fired off here, but that is going to get Solemn Judgment in. So confuserei, recognizing that MattUber's only gas in their hand for the moment is this Reasoning. So Pot of Greed is going to be the strongest Solemn Judgment target for quite a while. It is going to cost confuserei 3,500 life points, but as long as you can prevent MattUber from comboing off, your life points don't really matter too much. MattUber still probably fires off that Upstart Goblin. Yep, makes sense to me. And then we know 1 card in hand is Jar of Greed. We'll see what the other one is. They're just going to set that back row. Very high chance it's Jar of Greed. And now confuserei is actually in a decent spot, having called correctly on Reasoning and then Solemn the Pot of Greed got them out of that somewhat sticky situation. It looks like that 1 Upstart Goblin draw was not enough for MattUber to continue to make some plays that turn. So let's see. confuserei just going to go set a couple more back row. Neither player, well, outside of the Sacred Crane, neither player has drawn a monster that was playable this turn, or this game so far. So off to a little bit of a slow start here. MattUber going to fire off that Jar of Greed as expected. Then the deck just a little bit more. Did find Sangan. Okay, so a little bit of beatdown here. And suddenly the massive life points paid by the Solemn Judgment It's looking a little bit sketchy for confuserei because Sangan is actually a very real clock at this point in time. Going to hit for 1,000 a turn. confuserei is going to allow that, but as we saw in hand, didn't really have too much to dodge this attack anyway. And MattUber suddenly has a nice clock that confuserei is under a decent amount of pressure from. Let's see, though. Gonna set a monster. Very easy to wall out Sangan with just a defense position monster. Doesn't allow any crashes as well to like get the search off. So that this play of aggression for MattUber could just come to a very early halt. Mind control here for MattUber. Nice play. And honestly, I see them use this most of the time just to, like I mentioned in the prep, move a monster out of the way just to attack. Basically converting mind control directly to damage. Definitely works out for them so far, especially when your opponent is pretty low on life. It's pretty nice. They do end up mind controlling a Tsukuyomi, which is kind of interesting. I guess you probably just flip summon it so that it bounces back to confuserei's hand and forces them to waste another normal summon on it. So we'll clear the way for the Sangan to go through. It is a plus for confuserei at the end of the day because the Tsukuyomi won't just like will remain under their control. But an extra 1,000 damage, nice little tempo play, wasting confuserei's normal summon. Could be worse. And we're actually just going to go and set the Sangan face down to secure the Tsukuyomi face up so it gets bounced back to the hand. Sangan is now potentially a knock target if confuserei has drawn into one. But I think it's worth doing this just to bounce the suit back to hand for the tempo sort of advantage here. Suk will get bounced back. confuserei here. What's the play? Found Pot of Greed. That's a nice way to find some stuff to stabilize here. 2,500 life points, so not really... And with the Ring of Destruction gone, not at a huge risk of losing here. Now, they can't just afford to wall up with defense position monsters forever, though, because we do know MattUber is running Air Knight Parshath, so the piercing damage actually could be relevant with confuserei at this low life. They're going to fire off the knock, though. Okay, so the Sangan will be no more, so that Tsukuyomi flip does end up coming back to bite MattUber a little bit, but I still think it was probably the right play. Ooh, and then confuserei has a very strong follow-up in Breaker the Magical Warrior. Could go ahead and try and pop this back row. We don't really know what it is. 1,900 points of damage is nice, though. And let's see what it hits. It's going to be a Book of Moon. Okay, so MattUber just going to chain it to the Breaker. Breaker is still just going to get a nice little +1 there, forcing out that book. MattUber does protect their own life points, but suddenly they're down 1,000,000 cards. And confuserei, like I said, 2,500 life points, ring already gone. Seems like a decent place to be able to stabilize. Just has to really worry about like the Air Knight Parshath, or maybe like a Cyberstein top deck. But with all of these cards available to them, probably pretty likely that they'll be okay. MattUber just going to set a couple back row. Okay, confuserei can start clocking with this Breaker if they so choose. The pro set Heavy Storm coming through. That's pretty nice, especially if this other back row is that Trap Dust Shoot that we knew was in confuserei's hand. So that you don't really care about it getting hit by the Heavy Storm. MattUber is going to chain Scapegoat, though. So a nice play there, protecting their life points a little bit longer. Gets monsters on the field in case they top deck a Monster Gate as well to go for a combo. And it'll really slow down confuserei if they start clocking stuff here. Heavy Storm will kill that Trap Dust Shoot as expected. Oh, and it's actually hitting a bluff set Monster Gate. So MattUber forced to chain the Scapegoat to the Heavy Storm, getting some Monster Gate targets online, but unfortunately for them, went for the set Monster Gate as well. So now that's one less in the deck that they could draw into to actually make this play live. Maybe a little bit of a minor mistake there. And we'll see if confuserei can punish by wiping away these Go tokens before MattUber can make a play with them. Flip Summon Breaker, kill a token, set a monster, set a back row pass. Nothing crazy. Could have tried to kill 2 tokens this turn with the Tsukuyomi, but maybe valuing whatever this set monster is even more. Gravekeeper Spy and Dekoichi are both good aggressive monsters that you could go for in the scenario. Magician of Faith, also insane, grabbing Pot of Greed. So lots of very high value monsters that this could be that is better than just killing an extra Go token. MattUber finds the Mind Control. Is it going to snag a Magician of Faith? It is that Tsukuyomi. Okay. All right. So actually, confuserei getting a little cheeky there. Not really sure if that was necessary. Oh, I guess you couldn't have gone for the Tsukuyomi that turn because you just had to flip summon the Breaker. So you couldn't have gone flip Breaker, normal summon Suk, and then still kill 2 tokens. So actually, I like this play from confuserei. MattUber can just once again do the flip up the Tsukiyomi, flip down the breaker, and basically we're in the same spot. But it will at least buy them one more turn of confuserei being unable to clear out every single token, I guess. But either way, MattUber still continuing to go down cards here. Once again, minusing off of this Minecon. Mineconning a Tsukiyomi for the second time in a single game. Not something you see every day. And confuserei is kind of grinding this one out from this position, from what it looks like. Top deck Thunder Dragon for confuserei, finally getting a monster engrave for the first time. Thin the deck just a little bit as well, if you so choose. We're actually just going to go Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon. Okay. Saying, you know what, I'm done trying to set Tsukiyomi and getting cute here. Let me Tribute Summon over my breaker, get like Dark Engrave, maybe for the future is the idea, and a slightly stronger body on board. Could also go Metamorphosis into Ryu Senshi, which would really... It's just a very, very strong play against any sort of Reasoning Gate list. So would not be surprised to see that here for confuserei as well, now that they have a level 5 monster on the board. That's exactly what we're going to see. Like clockwork. Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon, meta it away into... Oh, sorry. I said Ryu Senshi. I meant Dark Altar. That's the level 5 Metamorphosis target. And notably, it's the one that negates spells by paying life, which is very important. Now, confuserei only has 2 potential maximum activations of this Dark Altar, but when you're up so many cards, seems pretty likely that you won't need more than 2 activations, is my guess. So I do like the play. Set a back row pass. You also have the Tsukiyomi as well next turn to clear up both of these tokens, leaving MattUber with basically nothing to go off of. Set a back row pass. Nothing crazy. Will we see these tokens meet their end? We're going to see one of those 3 main deck Kaikus hit the field as well, which will turn off any potential top deck chaos plays from MattUber. Floodgate effect very much real here. See both of these tokens meet their end. Yeah, no real back row for MattUber. Seems pretty unlikely, especially with Ring gone. There aren't a lot of real traps that these combo decks generally play outside of Ring, at least in the main deck. I think we did see MattUber at least play Torrential post side. Let's see, just another back row. And confuserei may have finally found their angle into MattUber's life points. Yep, 2,000 damage to the dome, another 1,800. Interesting choice here for confuserei if you want to actually banish these or not. I feel like you do, because I'm not sure if Stein Gate actually plays Dimension Fusion or like Democ or anything like that. So I feel like I would err towards turning off the top deck Chaos play, turning off 2 decent premature burial or Call of the Haunted targets. That seems a little bit better in the scenario than playing around a Dimension Fusion that you're not even sure exists or not. Yeah, go ahead and banish them. Big clock here. 2 turns on the face. Tsukiyomi coming in will be lethal next turn. And if MattUber had any real backer, they probably use it right now. So looking like confuserei is going to take down game 1 here. MattUber has basically 1 turn left. Or maybe a scapegoat to make things annoying. confuserei just going to go attack in. Not going to commit the Sook, so not going for lethal here. Could ring for game, maybe. Kaitu's going to get in for another 18. Set another back row. Not even risking the normal summon. We do know that MattUber, like I said, is on Torrential Tribute somewhere in the 55. Could be main decked. So confuserei may be just playing around that. Saying, you know what, I can afford to take an extra turn. End phase MST, pop the new back row. Hitting a Mirror Force. Sure, probably not going to matter too much. Set a back row pass. And then confuserei is just going to attack for game. And that is game 1. Yeah, so confuserei ahead. Well, a little bit of back and forth early on with let off with the Delinquent Duo, but then with the worst trap dust shoot I've ever seen, whiffed immediately, but made the really nice play. Not only did they call correctly on the reasoning, making that brick, but also solemn the Pot of Greed, leaving MattUber with just a couple draw cards to their name. And while MattUber was busy kind of recuperating a lot of their cards, confuserei was able to establish a board, fight through some scapegoat tokens, and then finish them off with a pretty powerful board of Kaiku plus Dark Balter. So game 2 here. MattUber will be able to go first, which is pretty key on these combo lists. So we'll see if they can use that initiative to, solid effect here. Going to go lead off with that Pot of Greed. Now, as we saw before, MattUber does play Morphing Jar, Cyber Jar in the side deck. Not sure if you bring those in when you know your opponent knows about them, assuming confuserei, did the prep, or maybe if you bring them in against Chaos Control specifically. Not entirely sure what MattUber's side deck plan is, but I can understand bringing them in just to give you like an extra sort of angle. maybe it's one of those things where you bring them in some of the time because sometimes your opponent will leave the Nox in. So if you can just not side them in, then your opponent has 2 dead cards. Lots of options available here. Either way, though, early Pot of Greed, exactly what the doctor ordered here for MattUber, already down a game here. Going to go off to a +1 start here. Just going to set a back row, but has a nice, full hand with potential combo goodies in there. confuserei has Pot of Greed of their own, though, so going tit for tat, equalizing that card advantage. Is there any follow-up play here? Just going to go set a monster, couple back row, just put up the shields a little bit, nothing crazy. We're going to get end phase Scapegoat for MattUber. Okay. So likely has a Monster Gate or maybe a Metamorphosis play lined up here. Wanting to get a monster on board for a target like that. See what the play is. Going to go Upstart Goblin first. Sure. Into normal summon Sacred Crane. Knock the set monster. Hitting a Gravekeeper Spy. Okay. So pretty good card in the matchup gone here for confuserei. I believe they only played the 2 copies. Yeah. Oh, and then we're going to go, wow. Okay, so not going for a Monster Gate play, not going for a Metamorphosis play, going for Sacred Crane plus United We Stand. So this is, math is hard. That is 4,000 points of attack here on Sacred Crane, 5,600 points of damage. Upstart Goblin makes Megamorph live as well, I believe, so that would just be lethal. Oh, we're putting it on a Scapegoat token, so, but either way, still the same total amount of attack points. Just diversifying the assets a little bit, if you will, so you don't just like lose to a single Sakuretsu armor. We're going to go hit in for 5,600. We have the Saku here for the Goat token, though. At the end of the day, Saku trading up slightly, trading for United We Stand plus a quarter of a Scapegoat activation, essentially. But not the end of the world for MattUber. Still at least got to hit in for a little bit of damage. They at least have another monster zone freed up, which is kind of nice. We're going to set a back row, making a little bit of progress, like I said. Nothing crazy, though. I do love the old Unga Bunga Scapegoat plus United We Stand combo, though. Love every time we see that. So pretty cool to see it here in a very, very high stakes, competitive, environment. confuserei here is going to go fire off a Thunder Dragon. This is just a Light in the Grave, so no Chaos Live just yet. We've got Tribe Affecting Virus. That is a good option to deal with all of these Scapegoat tokens. Could also deal with the Sacred Crane relatively easy as well. And we know they have double Thunder Dragon in hand as discard fodder. So expecting to see the board just get wiped here relatively quickly. confuserei using Prio, calling Beast with the Tribe effect, clearing out those tokens. Then we're going to call Winged Beast as well. Clear out that Sacred Crane. Could have crashed with the Tribe, but as I mentioned before, it's important to clock your combo opponent. So I like clearing the way for this Tribe to start beating in. Nice heads-up play there by confuserei. Gonna get in for 64. It's also very important against Stein Gate specifically to get your opponent sub 5,000 life points, because then Cyberstein is no longer an option for them. So especially early on, it's very good to get aggressive to get you close to that, threshold. confuserei adding another back row. We're gonna get end phase Call of the Haunted here from MattUber, which is gonna bring up the Sacred Crane, triggering its effect to draw an extra card. It will also trade with the Tribe, as we said, but digging for some combo pieces here. 2 fresh cards in the hand. We're going to Tribute Summon for Visor Shock, bouncing both back row, so attempting to clear the way for a little bit of a combo here. Yeah, Visor Shock triggers whether it's normal or special summoned, so going for the Tribute Summon, definitely a solid option. If this resolves, things will be nice and clear here for MattUber to combo off. confuserei is going to chain Scapegoat, though. Okay, so going to fill up the board, play a little bit defensively here. The other back row might just get bounced. But maybe, just maybe, Scapegoat ruined the day of MattUber's combo plans, filling up the board with defense position monsters, making it harder to deal damage directly. Show me the Big Bang shot. Okay, no, we're going to go Monster Gate, tributing this Visor Shock, getting Light, Dark, and Grave, notably. See what the Monster Gate spins into, though. We've hit a Sacred Crane, so that'll draw into another monster, or into another card, I should say. And then we're just going to go ahead and trade with the Tribe, setting up for maybe future turns. Set a back row pass. And yeah, you can see here, MattUber likely wanted to go for a little bit bigger of a combo. But Scapegoat is a very, very strong card against Reasoning Gate lists specifically, because you can chain it to things like Giant Trunade, or, like we saw there, Visor Shock, if the deck is playing that. And then it makes it so that because it happens at quick effect speed, you can kind of force the combo player to commit to something before they know if they're going to be able to get through the damage or not. It's kind of like why Karibo is good, right? As opposed to like Threatening Roar. Like Threatening Roar, if they just go Giant Trunade and you chain Threatening Roar, it's like, okay, I don't really need to do too much. I mean, I guess Scapegoat works kind of similarly. Karibo, I guess, is probably the strongest for that sort of thing. But Scapegoat at least combos with a lot of what confuserei's other stuff does. Obviously, it is a Chaos Control list. But either way, kind of acting like a Threatening Roar here, just with a little bit more synergy for the strategy overall. So Confuserei has a nice big wall here. Can they start applying some pressure to MattUber, though? Still would love to get them sub 5k life points to turn off the Stein play. No monsters here, though, just a couple back row. All right, so MattUber's going to get another turn to draw a little bit deeper into the list. He's going to set a back row pass. Trying to see if there's anything interesting that got hit off of that Monster Gate. Just a single copy of Monster Gate, a Trunade, and a Reasoning. Nothing insane that they're really missing there, feels like. All stuff that is kind of redundant in the list. These are just going to say draw go, though. So neither player really making any progress here. Not sure. This might favor MattUber slightly. Also, I have to assume post side they have some stuff to deal with the Scapegoat tokens because it is a known problem card for these sorts of lists. So maybe there's like a token Thanksgiving that they could use to not only wipe the board of all these tokens, opening up the way for attacks, but also it's really nice in Cyberstein lists because it can gain you more life so that it can get you above that 5,000 threshold if you drop below, or even in certain circumstances get you above 10k life so you can go for a double Cyberstein activation, which is very, very hard to lose from if you're able to do so. But that's just theoretical. Not sure what MattUber's anti-scapegoat game plan is, if they have one. And we're just going to play a little bit of draw go Yu-Gi-Oh here until one player decides to blink first. Confuserei right on cue. Gonna go for that Kaiku summon here. Lots of juicy targets engraved to banish if this were to connect. But, MattUber does have the Torrential Tribute to train here, which will deal with the Kaiku and all the Go tokens in one fell swoop. Assuming it resolves, and it will. That seems like a very, very important choice there. I think Confuserei kind of forced to at some point summon a monster and try to do stuff. But MattUber getting a full 2-for-1 value out of this Torrential Tribute, you do not see that every day in modern GOATs. Generally, people play around Torrential Tribute very well. But MattUber getting the full +1, clearing out this board, and now if they have like a Trinity or something to bounce these back row, could be a turn for them to go for a little bit of a combo. Let's see what the play is. Just going to set a back row pass. Okay, so I got a little bit ahead of myself. But still a high value Torrential Tribute regardless. Delinquent Duo here for Confuserei. Nice. Now, maybe not the highest value duo you'll ever see because it's pretty clear at this point MattUber doesn't have anything super valuable in their hand. Otherwise, they'd probably be comboing off. But still a good card to use in these scenarios regardless. Let's see what they hit. They snag a Dark Magician of Chaos. Okay, so MattUber is on the DMOC technology here. I have to assume that there's probably Dimension Fusion or two somewhere in the list as well, seeing that. But honestly, you're pretty happy with your DMOC hitting the grave. Because now it's a nice little premature burial target if you so choose. If you can bounce back this Call of the Haunted with like a Giant Trunade, also is a good target for that, of course. And they're going to discard Air Knight as well. Okay, yeah, so that explains a lot. MattUber here, bricking on all of their tribute monsters. Cards that you want to be in your deck, so you hit them off of Monster Gate and Reasoning. Not cards that you want in your hand, because they just get clogged up unless you find yourselves with some tribute fodder, of course. But so honestly, MattUber probably a little bit happy that they can get these into the graveyard where they're a little bit actually easier to play. So a pretty low value Delinquent Duo there for Confuserei overall. And we'll see if MattUber can instantly punish for like a premature or something. Just going to set a back row pass. So both players are very much biding their time here. Draw go for Confuserei. MattUber finds the upstart. We're just going to see draw upstart go. We're going to go for the Giant Trunade. Okay, so maybe just setting up for the Call of the Haunted play on this DMOC. Or maybe saying, okay, it's time to go for the big play. We'll see if this resolves. Scapegoat chain here for Confuserei. Yeah, as expected, getting that essentially Threatening Roar effect on board. I guess it's better than Threatening Roar. It's a little bit different, right? Because Threatening Roar, like, it can't be, like, negated after it's been activated, right? Or after it's been resolved. Whereas the scapegoat tokens can just like die to token Thanksgiving or tribe or something like that. However, if the tokens can stick around, they can protect you for a lot more turns than threatening roar can, right? So there is a little bit of a give and take on both ends. Either way, though, it looks like this giant trinade is resolving. Call the Haunted, bounce back to hand for MattUber for a rainy day if they want it. Have these goat tokens to get through though. And once again, yeah, I think once again the chain scapegoat here out of confuserei, just putting up a big roadblock here for MattUber. Went for the Visor Shock potential combo turn, got stymied by scapegoat. Went for the giant trinade to set up for a potential combo turn, got stymied by the second copy of scapegoat. So you can see really keeping confuserei here just on the defensive, making it hard for MattUber to really get anything done. And we still haven't really seen any anti-scapegoat sort of tech here outside of the torrential tribute, which is of course quite strong. But that's that's limited. That one's gone. So need to see something else from MattUber here to deal with these. Otherwise, this might just be a 2-0 for confuserei. Another Kaiku going to come down. No torrential to worry about here. So let's just start beating in for 18. If this connects, puts MattUber down sub 5k. So we're going to go Call of the Haunted to try and block it off. Or do we go Call of the Haunted into Demock to set up for some combos? You can grab Pot of Greed, could grab Reasoning or Monster Gate. Targeting the Demock, just getting a nice big wall on board. Effect will grab the Giant Trunade. So we were just going to be recurring this Call of the Haunted over and over again, most likely. Pretty cool little synergy there. And Demock is just going to hit the board here. And wall out this Kaiku for the time being. These are going to set a couple back row, likely what was bounced from the Trunade last turn. But they might just get bounced once again by this new Trunade. See what the play is. You're just going to go straight to battle phase, attack this Kaiku, attacking right into a Mirror Force. But MattUber has the Book of Moon to chain, setting the Dark Magician, disconnecting it from that Call of the Haunted, so now Demock is safe from back row removal as well. So, not going to be able to connect for damage. Could have fired off the Giant Trunade to remove the back row if they so choose, but choosing to go for this Book of Moon sort of safety net play, I'm sure they would have preferred the Demock just connecting on the Kaiku, but obviously this was risking a battle trap. So maybe I guess they felt fine doing it. Probably not the ideal result having to use this book, but at least they had the plan B if they needed it. And at phase 2, they can go for Trunade again, setting up for another Call of the Haunted turn. Yeah, so playing this very methodically. And when you're staring down a wall of scapegoat tokens, sometimes you do just have to play a little bit more of a grindy game, even when you're playing Stein Gate OTK. confuserei here likely doesn't have the Nox in here to deal with this Demock. That would be kind of funny to see. Just going to set, once again, a couple back row. That Giant Trunade already been used, so maybe not the end of the world. MattUber here just trying to get value out of this slow roll Giant Trunade Call of the Haunted combo. It's kind of working, I guess. We're going to go for it again. Call of the Haunted, bring back Visor Shock. Acting as another Giant Trunade is also going to bounce the Demock back to hand, which is interesting. I'm not sure if that is desirable or if they just feel forced to get this Call of the Haunted through before anything is chainable from confuserei. Either way, though, everything's going to get bounced. Oh, and we're going to chain Compulse on the Kaiku. So Kaiku's going to get bounced back to hand as well. So MattUber investing a lot into this turn. Visor Shock bouncing the board, or the back row. Compulse to wipe out the Kaiku, saving up for... I mean, this removes the Floodgate effect. No Dark Engrave for Chaos, but they can maybe get one in relatively easily. They could, like, tribute over this Visor Shock or something. Let's see what the play is. Has to deal with these goat tokens. We're going to fire off their Reasoning. Okay, so a little bit of a Hail Mary here. confuserei, do you just call the 2 again? Are you worried about Cyberstein at this point? Gonna call it. And they hit Stein again. That's really funny. Second turn in a row. Reasoning call 2. The very first card is that Stein. This does, however, get a Dark Engrave for MattUber, which, considering they intentionally bounced the Kaiku with the compulsory evacuation device, maybe this is what they wanted to happen all along. Maybe it was like, okay, if you call 2, Stein gets in the grave. If you call another one, I get to summon Stein. Maybe. And so it's fine. So maybe MattUber with a little bit of a checkmate moment here, setting up for something. We're going to go Premature Burial on this. Okay, so never mind. Oh, well, I guess it is still kind of a checkmate scenario, right? It's like, okay, if you call 2 on Reasoning and it hits the Stein, I just have the Premature to bring it back. has almost exactly enough life points to go for this play as well. Let's see what the Stein target is here. Going down all the way to 600 life points to bring out the Master of Oz. Okay, little bit. It's just a big vanilla though, so you still have to deal with these goat tokens. We're gonna go tribute for Demok, sure. Is there anything in the grave that can deal with the goat tokens? Does not seem like it, but maybe we're gonna Pot of Greed for something that can. Yeah, grabbing the pot here. Okay, so all in on this play. Show me the token Thanksgiving. Show me the tribe infecting virus. What is the play here? How are we gonna force through the damage? We're gonna snatch, steal a goat token. Are we gonna go? Are we gonna do the classic snatch a goat token, turn it into attack position, true nade, bounce everything so it goes back into attack position? Then you can megamorph the Master of Oz and attack for 8k. That would be cool. Oh, we're just gonna slam down B.A.D.S. Okay, never mind. Well, and Megamorph is still just game here, though. Yeah, Megamorph on the Master of Oz. So B.A.D.S with its effect will clear out 2 tokens. Demok gets 1. Snatch, remove the last one, so the 8,400 attack point Master of Oz can attack in for game. As long as confuserei does not have a Karibo in hand, this will be game. And in damage step, we are conceding. Nice. That's funny. Confuserei with a little bit of a bluff there. Just trolling MattUber a little bit. Love to see it. A little bit of friendly banter. And yeah, that is going to be game 2 to MattUber. A very, very long game here. Had to fight through double scapegoat activation. Had to get very, very creative there on that last turn. Snatch shield to remove a token. B.A.D.S double attack into 2 goat tokens. And yeah, just basically just had to go wide to get over those scapegoats, which I guess is an option for reasoning gate decks. Generally not their preferred one. They generally like to go like Lightning Vortex or something like that. But hey, and it ended up working out. And we are going to go to a game 3 here. This is now confuserei's and B.A.D.S tournament life on the line. If MattUber takes this down, B.A.D.S will be eliminated from the GOAT format playoffs. And the number 1 seed bug catchers will move on to the semifinals to take on damage step. If confuserei wins this, then we're still back in this quarterfinal gauntlet, though. So plenty of Yu-Gi-Oh left to play, but confuserei back up against the wall, has to pull this through for their team if they want to stay in the tournament. And we're leading off with a Pot of Greed here. Very solid start. I believe confuserei has opened Pot of Greed all 3 games, so Lady Luck shining down a little bit on confuserei so far this game. And we open Double Trinity, Pot of Greed into Graceful Charity. What are we discarding? Breaker and Kaiku, not plussing off the Graceful, but good card filtration is never something you'll complain about this early on. And we're going to go T-set pass. So Double Trinity, T-set pass, classic GOAT format. Opening play here. MattUber a little bit behind here. See what they can do. Fire off Graceful Charity their own, fighting Trinity with Trinity. Discarding Sacred Crane and a Brain Control, which is dead with no face-up monsters on the board. Crane engraved, though, as a potential premature target, maybe. We're going to go Pot of Greed. Okay, so Pot Graceful answered by Graceful Pot. Love to see when, high stakes, game 3 here. Really happy to see one player not just completely sacking it, right? But yeah, both players resolving Double Trinity so far. MattUber just going to set a single back row, not utilizing their normal summon for turn. So a little bit of a tempo advantage here for confuserei, but MattUber can afford to take a hit or 2 before they're really in jeopardy. confuserei gonna flip up this Gravekeeper Spy, summon the second one in attack position, get aggro here, 2,400 points of damage to the dome, add on a Kaiku for good measure. This is a lot of damage, and this is going to send MattUber down below 3,000 or 5,000 life points if all these attacks connect. And suddenly the deck gets a lot worse when it can't activate Cyberstein. Yeah, MattUber forced to activate the Threatening Roar here to keep their life points nice and healthy. But once again, they're still staring down the same amount of attack points next turn. So Threatening Roar is going to buy them a turn, but can they answer this board, right? That's going to be the question. See what MattUber can do. Just a single back row to get through. We're going to go Giant True Nade to remove it anyway. That will resolve. We're going to go Snatch Steal on the Kaiku here. And we're going to Monster Gate it away. Okay, so could have gone Kaiku, attack over the Gravekeeper Spy, banish the Grave, remove some of the attack points from the board. but we're going to go for the more greedy Monster Gate play here, trying to flip into something good. Hope you don't hit Visor Shock, because that would be pretty lame. Hits the Cyber Jar. Okay, so you can see the double-edged sword, as I mentioned previously in this video, of bringing in the Cyber Jar into this list because it is a terrible, terrible target for Reasoning / Monster Gate. I don't think this deck plays any way to flip it face down, so once it gets summoned off of these, there's just really nothing you can do with it. And MattUber, like I said, went for a little bit of a greedy play there with the Snatch into Monster Gate and gets punished for it by spinning into something that is just not very strong. They could have a second Monster Gate in hand, though. That could make it a little bit better. Okay, we're just going to go Tribute for Air Knight. Okay, so they had that play lined up regardless of what they hit into, I guess. So maybe that's what the play. It's spin the roulette wheel, see if we can turn this Kaiku into something better than an Air Knight. But if we don't, then at least we have Tribute Zone for Air Knight available. So Maddie, we're having to go maybe for plan B here. They do get Light Dark Engrave, which could be nice. They will be able to connect an Air Knight attack over a Gravekeeper Spy, which will draw them a card. But then, I mean, case in point, why did we see Air Knight fall out of the metagame? Well, it's not so good when it's staring down a defense position Gravekeeper Spy, right? So even though you're going to get some value here, you're going to beat over a single spy, draw a card, deal 700 points of damage. Not going to be too good against the second spy. So plan B here for MattUber, not the strongest. Maybe a little bit, unfortunate that they did not Monster Gate into something stronger. And now they're in a little bit of a rough spot, potentially. Going to set a back row pass. Confuserei could just wall out if they so choose. Snatch Steal on the Air Knight would be pretty backbreaking. So we've got Thunder Dragon on luck, finally getting a Light Engrave to go with all of these dark monsters. So Chaos potentially live now as well. It's going to be hard for MattUber to keep this board intact. Air Knight here not looking particularly strong. Yeah, and we're going to see this Chaos come down. Blackluster Soldier on Void the beginning here for Confuserei. Not going to use Prio. We're going for big damage. I love it. Turn the spy to defense in case there's Mirror Force, and also just in case the B.L.S. dies, you don't want it as a sitting duck. Let's go for big damage. Ring on the B.L.S. though is going to keep it alive. Both players will take 3k, which is pretty significant, and notably, oof. So MattUber forced to ring the B.L.S., dropping them to exactly 5,000 life points, turning off Cyberstein, and they were forced to do that because this Air Knight is exposed, has no built-in protection of its own. And Confuserei just, had the setup there. Nice top deck Thunder Dragon to get the Light Dark Engrave. But there were a lot of ways that this board could get answered here. It's just B.L.S. happened to be one of the stronger ones. And MattUber very, very far behind at this point in time. Sure, the B.L.S. is gone, but Stein is turned off. Your Air Knight is staring down a defense position Gravekeeper Spy, which is, exactly why people don't play Air Knight anymore, like I said. And Confuserei is also up a bunch of cards, right? Now, they are the one saving grace for MattUber. So Confuserei is pretty low on life. 4,300 or 4,300 life points isn't too much. But you have to get through this Gravekeeper Spy. And you've already had to invest a lot of resources. You've already used Pot Graceful. You've already used a Giant Trunade. You used Snatch. You used a single Monster Gate. You've used Ring. So it's going to be... Those are some big units that MattUber will no longer have access to unless they find like a Demock or something that they're able to play. Ooh, main phase 2, we're going to go normal summon for Thunder Dragon. Oh, and we're going to go for the Dark Balter play here. So, not content here just to sit defensively on the Gravekeeper Spy. Just going for a big monster here. 4 potential activations here of the Dark Balter to make it much, much harder here for MattUber. And I think Confuserei really identifying that this is just a card that Reasoning Gate lists have a terrible, terrible time against. Right? Not only is it bigger than this Air Knight, but you can just negate all of the key combo pieces. And even if MattUber hard draws a Cyberstein, which is generally the backup play when you can't force through a Monster Gate or a Reasoning, you can't even top deck Stein here because you don't have the life points to pay for it. So Confuserei really putting MattUber into a bind here. It's like, okay, one play is already shut off. Your only other play, which is Monster Gate or Reasoning into a bigger monster, I can just turn off with this Dark Balter. And unless MattUber has something to deal with the Dark Balter, which is, a little bit hard to see with Snatch and Ring already gone, it's going to look pretty good here for Confuserei. And we're just going to go Lightning Vortex on the Air Knight anyway. Sure, Really just simplifying the state down when you have such a strong monster on the board and life points to pay to protect it. Definitely makes sense to me. You have the Thunder Dragon in hand as discard fodder as well. Lightning Vortex resolving on the side of Chaos Control. Not something you see every day, but it can be nice against these decks that do like to go wide sometimes. Set a back row behind the Dark Vaulter to protect it. MattUber, do you have any play that gets around Dark Vaulter? Let's see. We're just going to slam down B.A.D.S. Okay, B.A.D.S does it. Light and Grave, which confuserei put in there for them, right? Now, MattUber could have gone crash into Dark Vaulter if they wanted and offer the same thing. But we're going to slam down this B.A.D.S, banish a couple monsters, and suddenly Dark Vaulter is going to be gone. And it will. Okay, so MattUber might be one of the few outs to Dark Vaulter in their list. Has been dealt with, and now they're actually in a pretty good spot. Tables upturned. B.A.D.S, good card in GOAT format. Who'da thunk? Set a couple back row behind it. And B.A.D.S is a 2-turn clock. confuserei, also, pretty equal in card advantage here, but staring down a big threat. Invested a lot into that Dark Vaulter plus Lightning Vortex play, but to just be at parity and behind on board, is this going to be enough? A little bit rough. confuserei, has Chaos of their own, though. Chaos Sorcerer coming down. Is that just going to answer the B.A.D.S? All right, and yeah, control deck's doing its thing, right? Sure, you slam down one strong threat, Dark Vaulter controlling the board. MattUber has the perfect out for it in the form of this Black Luster Soldier. But control says, you know what, I got more where that came from, right? We're going to play Chaos Sorcerer. We're going to take control of this board right back. And this is exactly the game control wants to play. They want to go tit for tat, threat for threat, because they're going to outgrind you when it comes down to it, right? And MattUber had the B.A.D.S as potentially like a last gasp sort of effort to keep control over this game. I guess they've freed up reasoning plays now, but now you still have to beat a Chaos Sorcerer, which is pretty hard to do regardless, even with whatever your Monster Gate targets are left in deck. Let's see, just going to set a back row pass. Do we get aggressive here with confuserei? Sork is a 3-turn clock, and there aren't too many real back row. I don't think we've seen Mirror Force out of MattUber so far. We've seen Torrential and we've seen Ring, but I'm not sure if they're on Battle Traps. They're just going to take 2,300. Yeah, so confuserei, as long as you play around Torrential, you can just get aggressive if you want. Sork is going to clock them really nicely. MattUber here, just going to set a couple back row, but if I'm confuserei, I don't think these are real, right? Maybe it's Scapegoat, but sure, go ahead. Get him for 23. Oh, we do have the Mirror Force. Okay, so I stand corrected. We might have seen that in the previous game as well, and I just forgot. Totally reasonable thing. But the Sorg is going to get answered here by the Mirror Force. confuserei's threat is gone. MattUber protects our life points here at 2,700. confuserei just going to set a back row, and neither player has a monster on board. Both players relatively low on life. So it feels like whoever can stick a threat first, get a little bit aggressive, take the initiative, is going to be in a pretty solid spot. Even like normal summon Sacred Crane here for MattUber, I feel like could do a decent amount of damage. We're going to fire off a Giant Shrunade. confuserei, as always, the classic answer to Giant Shrunade to Bowser Shock. We're just going to chain Scapegoat, fill up the board, say, you know what, have fun dealing with this. And let's see if MattUber has any gas left in the tank to deal with 4 Scapegoat tokens. We saw them able to do that last game, but that was after several turns of drawing up a bunch of stuff. And it still didn't look easy, right? They had to snatch steal a single token to move out of the way. They had to go Master of Oz, Demok, Megamorph, Black Luster Soldier to get through. And outside of the Torrential Tribute that we know MattUber plays, I still haven't seen an actual answer to Scapegoat anywhere in their list. Not even like milled from any of these like Monster Gates or anything. What is the play here? We're going to go Card Destruction to try and dig for something. Okay. Hand of a whole lot of junk there. 2 equipped spells with no monsters and an MST that doesn't really pair well with the Giant Shrunade. So last gasp, Hail Mary here for MattUber. Needs to find something to do with these Scapegoat tokens, down to 2,700 life points. Clock is ticking. Gonna set a monster, set a back row. Could be Morphing Jar. We do know that MattUber plays Morphing Jar in the 55. confuserei is going to go set a monster, set a couple back row. Are we just going to put the shields up here? Definitely possible. Just try and slowly grind this one out. MattUber fires off the reasoning. Your confuserei, you probably just call 8. Say, you know what, I don't want... The one thing that could make things a little bit messy here is good old Dark Magician of Chaos. So let's make sure that that doesn't happen. Yep, calling 8 makes sense to me. Flipping into Cyberstein, which, yeah, completely dead card here for MattUber for the most part. Torrential Tribute getting milled here as well, so one potential out to this board is gone. The only one that I'm aware of is gone. And yeah, does this deck just kind of fold to Scapegoat? We're going to go Tribute Summon for DMOC, tributing over Scapegoat as well. Okay, so DMOC on target. What can we grab? Could grab Potter Graceful, definitely options. Could grab Heavy Storm, clear the back row. I feel like you need to dig for a Scapegoat answer, though, so Graceful seems like a good choice. Yeah. MattUber agrees. Escape or Sangan will grab Visor Shock as well. Sure, not bad. Fire off the Graceful. This resolves. Gonna go discard Cyberstein and that Visor Shock. Two pretty dead cards, at least on this turn. Do we have an out to Scapegoat? The question. Swords of Revealing Light. Not an out to Scapegoat. Gonna flip a Sinister Serpent. So a little bit baited there as well. Do we have Lightning Vortex? Well, we can't use it because we don't have another card in hand. All right. And now confuserei can, with all these shields up, can't really make any progress with the swords on board, but you only have to survive 9 more turns and MattUber will deck themselves out. So maybe that's just the play here. A couple options here for confuserei how they want to play this one out. Duo here, rip out the last card in hand. Don't need to worry about the life points because you got such a big wall here. Hitting the Premature Burial. Yeah, I mean, Prima on the Air Knight, I guess, is an option, right? Or Call of the Haunted is still in the list. So is the out to Scapegoat literally just Air Knight Parshath? Is that we're just going old school? I mean, that's why people used to play Air Knight back in the day, right? To deal with the Scapegoats. So is that just the one card that we put in the list to deal with the Scapegoat? That might be it. Confuserei sets a back row pass. MattUber, you can go ahead and banish the Sinister Serpent with the DMOC attack, which is kind of nice. But it's going to run into a Sakuretsu armor. We're going to Book of Moon it, but we got Mirror Force chain to that. Nice. Don't see that every day. The double Battle Trap chain here to play around the Book of Moon trying to save your monster. And MattUber's last saving grace, this Dark Magician of Chaos, is going to hit the Banish Zone. I mean, we haven't seen any Dimension Fusion stuff either. So it doesn't seem like that we're on that sort of list. And yeah, I just don't see what MattUber's options here are anymore. And will they just slowly get decked out here? Yeah, confuserei set a back row pass. Second turn of swords gone. Draw, set, go. Confuserei pass. Swords is gone, but whatever. MattUber, do you have any way of getting through these goat tokens? That is the one question we've been asking. We're going to go meta into Thousand Eyes. Just for the Floodgate battle effect, just in case there's a little bit of Call the Haunted on Air Knight stuff. Let's just shut that whole thing down, says confuserei. And I think we're just all in on the deck out play here, which definitely is possible. Set a back row pass. confuserei, grab that Sinister. Why not? What's stopping you? Draw, go. Draw, set, go. Might be kind of an anticlimactic ending to what has been a very, very solid match. But I do think both players have played this one very well. Last couple turns here for MattUber. Draw, go. Draw, set, go. And I think this is just going to be it, guys. confuserei decking out MattUber here to continue bad streak. We're going to compulse the Thousand Eyes. Okay, we might have something happen here. Compulse on the Thousand Eyes. The Floodgate effect is gone. Gonna set a monster. Could be Sinister. Can we get rid of these go tokens? There it is. Oh no. That feels bad. I had to assume you're playing Stein. You have to have a token Thanksgiving somewhere in the list, right? It was the very, very last card of the deck. Feels really bad here for MattUber. They're going to be able to clear out all these goat tokens. If you're confused, right, just solve this, right? No, it's going to resolve. MattUber will go up to 5,900 attack points. Show me the Stein. Let's do it. Okay, do we have something going on? We got Sacred Crane, attack the set monster. It's Sinister Serpent. Do we have Call of the Haunted? Oh, we're conceding. Well played. Yeah, MattUber. Yeah, a little too late. Just the singleton token Thanksgiving, I guess, along with the torrential tribute, along with the Air Knight Parshath as the outs to scapegoat, but just not enough density here of answers to that essentially floodgate, right? And confuserei able to just deck out MattUber here in game three, and they will move on. They will continue to wave the flag of B.A.D.S here. The lone survivor going through the gauntlet. 2 players down, 4 remaining for confuserei here. Will be playing one flavor of Chaos Turbo in next wave. So definitely come check that out. A little bit of Chaos Control versus Chaos Turbo action. Well played here to MattUber. Definitely, made a very good match out of it. Game two, especially, was very cool to see how creative they got to get around that scapegoat that was causing them so much trouble all match. But really well played by both players. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Come back next time. Next video, we'll be seeing who confuserei will, have to defend against next round from the bug catchers. Definitely don't miss that one, and I will catch you all next time.